Hey people, Tunji from Caesar Graphics. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my oil paint tutorial. I believe you have your gloves ready because I have mine here. All right, so if you don't have a graphics tablet, you can still follow along. It's just that using a mouse is going to slow you down. If you need the exercise file for this tutorial, simply make use of the link in the description section of this video. Okay, so let's start today's tutorial. All right, so I'm going to create a new document now. Click on File and I'm going to select New. And I'm going to call this Will Art. It should be double L, not I. Then I'm going to make my width 1920. Height is going to be 1080. Okay, then I'm going to make my resolution 100. Color mode is going to be on RGB. And I'm going to leave every other settings the way they are and click on the Create button. So I'm using this frame size because I am making this my YouTube banner. So I'm going to drag and drop the image of Will Smith here and I'm going to make it bigger like so. Okay, I'll position it here. Now I need to crop out the shirt because I don't want that to be part of the scene. So I'm going to use the pen tool to do that right now. So then I'll right click, make a selection, select the OK button here, and I'm going to select the layer mask icon. I'll reverse the mask. So what I'm going to do now is to right click on the layer and rasterize the layer, and then go straight to filter gallery. So I'll make edge thickness 7. Intensity is going to be on 0 and posterization is going to be 2. Then I'm going to select the OK button and I'll create a new layer. I'll call this smudge. Then I'm going to select OK button. So I'll select the smudge tool. So I'm going to select the CG brush. So it should be here. Let me just make use of this. Alright, then I'm going to scale down the brush. Okay, so if you want to add the Caesar Graphics brush, simply click on this drop down arrow here and select the gear icon and hit the import brushes here. Then locate where you save the exercise files and then select the brush and click the load button. So because I already have it as part of my brush preset here, I don't need to select the load button. I'm going to hit cancel. Then what I'm going to do now is to rotate my screen. So I'm going to do that by clicking and hold on the hand tool and select the rotate view tool. Then I'm going to rotate my artboard this way. So I'm going to use space bar and drag my artboard down. I'll zoom in. Okay. So back to the smudge tool, and on the smudge tool property bar here, make sure sample all layers is checked, because if you don't do this, you won't be able to apply the smudge tool to the smudge paint layer that we created. And I'll rotate the angle of my brush this way, and I'm just going to gently apply the brush to the layer. Alright, so I'll change this back to 0. So then I'm going to stamp visible of the layers by holding down Ctrl Shift Alt and then press E, and I'll go to filter, select sharpen, select unsharp mask. I'll make my amount 28. I'll make radius 45.1, and threshold is going to be on 0, and I'm going to set the OK button. I'll go to filter again on the same layer and select sharpen again and select smart sharpen. So I am going to make my amount 131, and radius is going to be on 0. So the reason I added the smart sharpen is so as to add contrast to the pixels, and the reason why I added the unsharp mask is so as to bring out the details on the pixels. So then I'm going to select the OK button now. So I'm going to go straight to the adjustment tab here. So if you can't find the adjustment tab, simply go to Windows and select adjustments here, and then you'll see the adjustment tab appear on your screen. So I'll select the curve adjustment here and just push this up. Alright, so I'm going to reverse the mask by hitting Ctrl I, and I'll select the brush tool. I'll go straight to the brush settings and scroll down till I get to the CG brush. I'll scale that down, rotate it this way, select the brush tool. I'm going to rotate the brush. I'm going to switch to white by clicking on this switch icon here. Make sure you're on the layer mask thumbnail of the curve. Then I'm going to apply that here, like so. Then I'll scroll back up, select the hard brush, turn on the shape dynamic option here. This can only work if you have a graphics tablet. Okay, I'm going to drag my smooth up because I want to be able to have smooth movement of my brush. Alright, and I'm going to just gently apply that here, like so. So I'm going to switch to black. Alright, and I'm going to take it out from here. Then I'll switch back to white again. But for this, I can even create a new layer and just call this lights. Right, and then switch to white. Just gently apply that here. So. Alright, then I'll reduce the opacity a bit. Change this back to 0. I'm going to select the color picker of my foreground. Make the code 2D, 1D4, 4, 1D4, 9. And I'm going to select the OK button. So I'll create a new layer above all the layers, and I'll call this BG. I'll Ctrl Alt and apply the color of my foreground to the layer. Alright, so I'm going to hide the layer. So what we need to do now is to right click on the wheel layer and select convert to smart object. So I'm going to hold on Ctrl and click, and I'm going to make the background layer visible. Select the background layer, and I'm going to hold on Alt and click on the layer mask icon to cut out the layer from the BG layer. Okay, so then as you can see, we're having these white lines around project here, which is not part of the plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the layer mask of the BG layer, and I'll go to filter and select order and select maximum. All right, so I'm going to select this, and notice that immediately these appear on my screen. The white lines disappear. So I'm going to select the OK button now. Add black lines around my subject here. So to do that, I'm going to hold down Control and click on the thumbnail of the wheel layer again to create the marquee of the layer, and I'm going to create a new layer. So I'll click here and just pick a color from here, select the OK button, and I am going to go to select, modify, and hit expand. So my expand is going to be on 7, and I'm going to select the OK button. Then I'm going to fill this with the color of my foreground by holding on Alt and backspace. So I need to duplicate the layer mask of the BG layer and apply it to the new layer that we created. So I'm going to hold on Alt, click and drag and drop here, and I'm going to call this stroke. Okay, all right, I'm going to put everything here in a group. So I'll shift select all the layers and hit Ctrl G to call this. Then I'll open the smudge group folder. I'm going to create a new layer, call this. So I'm going to select the OK button, click on the color picker of my foreground, and I'm going to change this to 1 0 and C, and select the OK button. And I'm going to select the brush tool and make sure I'm on the square brush here, turn off shape dynamic, and this should be, let's say, 20. Now the reason why I'm adjusting the smoothing is so as to be able to have smooth movement of my brush. Okay, so I'm going to make this bigger like so and just rotate it a bit and close the spacing. So I'm going to turn on shape dynamic and just draw a line here. So I'm going to hold down Control and click on the thumbnail of the stroke layer, and I'm going to select the brush stroke and hold on Alt and click on the layer mask icon, and then we have this. And they just reduce the size of the brush and just draw. I'm going to click on the curve adjustment layer. Then I've had another curve, but this time this is going to be my shadow. So I'm going to push this down like so, and I'm going to hit Ctrl I on my keyboard, select the brush tool, go to the brush settings, and I'm going to select the same brush again. Then I'm going to turn off shape dynamic here. Let's scale this down, close the spacing. I'm going to rotate screen again. Alright, select the brush tool, rotate my brush. Select the rotate tool and then change this to 0. Then I'm going to stamp visible of the layers by holding on Ctrl Shift Alt and then E. So I'll go to filter, go to stylize and select the oil paint filter here. So I'm going to make my stylization 3.8. I'm going to make cleanliness 3.5. All right, now, so if this is the first time you're using this filter, it's possible lighting is going to be checked. So make sure you turn lighting off. I'm going to make my scale go back to 0.1, and it's possible that the settings that you're going to use may not go with what I use here. So what I'm checking out for is to have this, should I just call it wind effect? So once you achieve this effect on the face of your subject, I think you're good to go. And I'm going to select the OK button now, and I am going to add a layer mask to this because I noticed this is affecting some of the important parts on the face of my character here. So then I'm going to do that now by clicking on this icon, and I'm going to zoom in. So I'll select the brush tool, select the hard brush, and I'm going to turn on my pen pressure option here. Alright, then I'm going to make sure that I'm on the thumbnail of the stamp visible layer. So I'm going to call this, alright, and I'll scale that down. Alright, so I'll make sure on the layer mask, and I'm going to switch to black. Right, then I'm going to take this out from the eyes like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to select the pen tool. I'm just going to draw. Right click, select, make selection, select the OK button, and I'm going to switch this to white. Alright, I'll fill this with the shortcut, which is Alt backspace. So because the color of the foreground is white, so I'm going to do the same thing here. Same thing, but this time I'm going to use Control Enter to convert the part to a marquee, and I'm going to select the Alt backspace again. All right, so hit Control D to deselect that, and I'll do the same thing here for this. Enter, Alt backspace, Control D. Backspace. So, but as it is now, this is not looking real. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the eraser tool, select the hard brush, then I'm going to turn off transfer if it's checked. I'm going to scale down my brush and just take this back like so. Take this out like so. Right, and I'm going to create, let's just call this, alright, then I'm going to create a new layer and call this eye. Alright, then I'll hold on Alt and clip this to the highest white layer, and I'll pick a color by clicking on the foreground color picker and just click here and just make this a grayish. Yeah, click on the OK button, increase the brush size like so. Now make sure that you are on the hard brush when you're doing this. All right, make sure you're on the hard brush. I'm going to scale this down. Okay, turn off pen pressure and just drag this here like so. This here like so. We'll do the same thing here. Do the same thing here like so. Okay, see what we have now. So it's looking real, right? So what I'm gonna do is to make this look more real, I'm gonna create a new layer again and just call this light. Okay button. Switch this to white. Zoom in. Turn on the pen pressure option. I'm gonna gently draw a line here like so. And I'm gonna fill this again. Right, I'll do the same thing here, and I'm gonna do the same thing here like so. Okay, I'll change the color of this to dark blue. Or you know what, let's just use this faded type of blue here. Increase the size and then turn off pen pressure and turn on shape dynamic. Make sure your control is set to pen pressure, and I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to click, drag, and let go. Same thing here, click, drag, and let go. So I'm going to create a new layer, alright, because we still need to make this look more professional. So I'm going to call this stroke. Okay, and I'm going to pick a color from here and turn off shape transfer option and turn on shape dynamic. But under the shape dynamics control, make sure that your control is set to pen pressure. And I'm going to push my smoothing up to about, let's say 48. Let's just make it 50 because I want to be able to have smooth movement of my brush because we're about to start fine tuning the project. All right, so I'm going to draw a line here. All right, so okay. So I'll go straight to the brush setting here, turn off shape dynamic. Now go back to the Ceasar Graphix brush here and scale this down. Okay, and I'm gonna rotate this way. This here. Pick a color here. And just turn on. I'm gonna push the smooth to about 50 and just draw. Oops. Pen pressure should be turned on. So I'm just gonna draw a shape here. So, and this is beautiful. Let me just add more here. So I'm gonna turn this off and turn on shape dynamic. I mean, turn on transfer option here. Pick a color from here. Make it go like so. Select the OK button. Turn on shape dynamic and turn off the transfer option. And this should come from here down like so. And then we'll do the same thing here. Let's push this out like so. Okay. And for this side, pick a color from here. Make this brighter. Then turn off shade dynamic and turn on transfer. And I'm just going to push this here and just fade this in like so. Pick a color from here. Use my brush size. I'm going to turn this on and turn this off. Just pick a color from here. Just draw. Alright. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the adjustment icon here and select solid. Select the OK button, then hide this. double click on this because I need to pick this color. All right, so I'll pick this color and I'm gonna select the OK button here. Then I'll make this visible and I'm going to double click on the layer to bring out the layer style. So I'm gonna move this from here down to this place. I'll hold on Alt and click to break the slider because I only want this to affect the shadow part of the project. So I'm going to move this to the side. All right, and this should go out a bit. You know what? Let's just make it come to something around here. Move this here. Push this out a little bit more, like so. And I think this is good. I'm going to select the OK button and I am going to stop here on this. I'm glad you made it to the end of this tutorial. If you are able to achieve any project with the help of this tutorial, simply post it on your Instagram page and remember to use the hashtag Ceasar Graphix. You can also tag me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at Ceasar Graphix. And if you have not subscribed, remember to hit the subscribe button and remember to click the post notification bell so you get notified when I post my videos. Share, like, and comment on this tutorial. I'll see you again in the next one. Peace.